Los Angeles Rams heading to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Before we head into the game preview, just wanted to give a shout out to Sean and Veronica McVeigh, who are now parents. And, the best birth announcement in human history from the Rams PR team and social media squad, which was absolutely incredible. Of course, I see the notification, LA Rams transaction. That makes me click immediately. And, of course, this one just said, LA Rams transaction delivered Jordan John McVeigh, which I think was absolutely the best way to do that. So welcome to the squad, baby McVeigh. Let's win some ball games, Jordan. It's going to be a good time. Let's get into the game preview here. Los Angeles Rams sitting at 3-4. Dallas Cowboys at 4-2. This game kicks off at 10 o'clock Pacific time on Fox at AT&T Stadium. We get Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson in the booth with Aaron Andrews and Tom Rinaldi on the sideline. The distribution map, the Rams are playing in the red zones here, so a good chunk of America getting graced. Their eyeballs are being graced by the LA Rams this week, which is absolutely good news. If you are not in that zone, well, I'm sorry for you. Go somewhere and watch the game, or get like the ticket or something like that. Okay, there's ways to watch this game, I promise you. But if you are in those red zones, it's just right on your TV. Just switch it over to Fox, whatever that happens to be for you. For me, it's 21. Either way, if you are a better, Rams sitting at plus 6.5, which is a rough spot to be in. You want it to be 7 or 6, I guess a little lower than that. But either way, I like the Rams at plus 6.5. The Rams money line is plus 225, so could make a couple of bucks doing that if the Rams pull out the dub. And over-under sitting at 45.5, which I do feel like is a little bit low. But hey, Vegas knows more than I do, all right? And it is time for a sweet new segment. It's called Pants Picks. All right, so we're making our picks on pants here. We do have Rams House in the lead, and Rams House and Payo Time are the only ones that would know that I've done this, but I've added a win to all of our records, and because it doesn't hurt anything. We forgot in week 1. As soon as we got the notification of the pants, we all forgot. So this is what we're looking at right now, and the Rams in white jerseys this week, while the Cowboys wear navy, and there might be a shakeup there because that does seem really odd to me, but either way, if the Rams are in white, I'm going with the Soul pants, and I believe that Rams House also picked Soul, while Payo Time, I believe, is the one who picked Royal. So leave your pants picks in the comments below. Absolutely love this game. It's one of my new favorite things. So hop on in. The Rams right now sitting at 2-1 on the road, and the Cowboys 2-0 at home so far this season. This is the second straight game for the Rams facing a team coming off of their bye week, and the injury report reflects that very positively for the Dallas Cowboys. They've got, I think, one person on it, and it was a full participant on Wednesday. So that's not good news, but hey, you're going to get some teams off the bye. It's absolutely okay. These two teams kind of feel like the different vibes right now. So the Rams, they feel like a team kind of clinging on to some playoff hopes and looking for some balls to finally start bouncing their way a little bit. It seems like the Rams have been one of the more unlucky teams so far this season. But with a 3-4 record, it feels like it's right there. If we can just get that bounce to instead go this way, or a ref who, can actually see a play unfold and then call the right thing at the end, then who knows what happens. So obviously there's a lot of little tiny things right now at the Rams that just not going the way for the Rams. The Cowboys, they feel like a team that's really kind of yet to settle into their own identity. They've had some pretty good big wins, but then they've also lost to teams like the Cardinals. The Cardinals' only win is against the Dallas Cowboys. So kind of an up and down team, very difficult to predict. So it obviously makes this game very hard to assess right now. But both teams are in divisions with the two NFC Championship teams from a year ago. And even those teams don't feel like they're playing up to themselves right now. But we're getting into week 8, which is about when teams really start becoming themselves, which is good news. But this is one of those games that could be the difference between, this could impact playoff seeding at the end of the year. And like I said, the Rams are sitting a half game out right now. The Dallas Cowboys are sitting in there. So this really could be this matchup could be the difference between going to Philadelphia or to Detroit, something like that. So this is a very important game from that sense. And of course, it's a game against the Dallas Cowboys. We always want to win these ones, right? Some milestones we are watching in this one. Matthew Stafford, if he reaches this one this week, something incredible happened. He's 3,033 yards to reach 10th all-time in league history, passing Eli Manning. He needs 27 touchdown passes to reach 10th all-time in league history there, and 3 touchdown passes to pass Fran Tarkenton all-time in passing touchdowns. He does need 360 passing yards to pass Matt Ryan for second most all-time in the first 200 regular season games. I believe he's at 195. I believe so. But either way, 360, that could absolutely happen this week at the Dallas Cowboys. We'll see what happens, though, but it might be in Green Bay next week as well. Tyler Higbee needs 41 receptions to pass Robert Woods for 8th most in franchise history, and 2 touchdowns from Tyler Higbee to pass Preston Denard, 10th most in franchise history. Cooper Kupp, he does need 69 receptions to pass Henry Ellard for 3rd in franchise history, and needs 1, count 'em, 1 receiving touchdown to tie Ellard, and then 2 more, of course, to pass Ellard for 4th most in franchise history. So he's right in that pocket. Absolutely, Cooper Kupp is capable of a 2-touchdown game, as we well know. And Aaron Donald does still need that 1 sack to pass Trace Armstrong for 30th all-time in league history. So we're feeling good that he's going to get that, because eventually law of averages on Aaron Donald are going to kick in, and he's had 2 games without a sack. So it feels like somebody's in line to get their soul destroyed, which is good news. Take a look at the matchup in this one. So the Rams offense against the Cowboys defense. The Rams are still rocking that 6th-ranked offense, being able to move the ball, especially through the air. Cowboys defense, though, 4th in total yards, 3rd in defending the pass, but that is, again, where the Rams are strong, ranking 7th right now. Running the football, both teams kind of sit in the middle of the pack here. So the Rams sitting with 112 a game, that's 15th, and the Cowboys giving up 111.7. That is 18th in the league. And then points being scored, the Rams putting up just over 22, while the Cowboys defense giving up almost 17 a game, which is 4th in the league as far as points given up. So the Rams offense was able to find a little bit of rhythm on the ground last week, and should be the focus again this week against the Cowboys, as they do have a bottom half run defense like we just mentioned. So the Cowboys pass defense, definitely stout. I'm really curious to see what their game plan is when it comes to taking away Cooper Kupp and or Puka Nacua, because obviously that's a big matchup there. Both of these guys have the ability to have like 170 in a game. So who do you want to take out? It does feel like if you have to choose one, the other one's just going to rip you up. So can you do both? But then we got Tutu. I don't know. So we'll see what happens there. I'm just really curious to see what their game plan is as far as defending that those 2 weapons specifically. Cowboys front does a good job mixing up the pass rush as well. So it's going to be a big day for the Rams offensive line to make sure that they're passing off protections in the right ways. And luckily, this team, unlike last year, has been able to have some continuity on the offensive line. So hopefully that continues to build. And Kevin Dotson is doing such an incredible job at that right guard spot that hopefully they just continue to gel. And hopefully this is a week that we see them really kind of take that next step forward. So will this be the week that we get that McVay offense back, that offense that we've grown accustomed to? Like, what happened to the jet sweeps and the misdirections and stuff like that? So hopefully we kind of see a little bit of stuff like that. We talked about that on Ram Showcase Live, which is every Monday on YouTube and Facebook. Cool Bro hopped on with me, and he was kind of talking about that a lot too. He talked about that last week as well, about like this team just is not doing the things that like spark your offense. It seems like we're kind of running some basic plays there, so obviously we want to see that kind of shift up. Our 3 to see here, we're going to start with Puka Nacua. I keep feeling like I'm overreacting to Puka Nacua. I like every week I'm like, we gotta relax. But I mean, it does feel like it's something that's not going to slow down. Like, it just feels like it might just be who he is. This does genuinely, it feels sustainable. So, I mean, if that is indeed the case, that this is just who Puka Nacua is, then I'm sorry about your defenses, every other team. But either way, the choice of taking away Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua, it's quite the decision, because both of them incredible at football. So that's good news. But either could have a big day or both could have a big day. But it doesn't feel like there's any real scenario where neither of them have a big day, right? Like, I think we can kind of agree on that like it's either one or both. Like, you make your pick. You're going to take one out and the other's going to go for 180, or you're going to let them both get 110, But it feels like to shut them both down completely does feel pretty extreme. And if you were able to, we've seen a big emergence from Tutu Atwell this season as well. So hopefully he would be able to hop in there and just keep it rolling. Next up, we're going to give it to Royce Freeman. I don't dislike Darrell Henderson at all, and I hope that that's very abundantly clear to everybody. I like Hendo, absolutely. But I will also say what we saw from him last week, 18 carries, 61 yards, 3.4 average, 1 receptions for 5 yards. I mean, the receptions do feel like they should be higher for Hendo. But that's about right. That's about Darrell Henderson. Like we got what we knew we had in him. So was it bad? Not at all. He kind of gave a nice little spark in there, a little bit of consistency. He was getting, he was moving the ball, whether it was, he wasn't like lighting it up. He wasn't busting out 30-yarders or anything like that, but he was doing a fine job and he was getting in there. So, and it was also his first game back this season. So we got to give him that credit as well. But that's about what we know from Hendo. That's about right. So, I mean, it's not intended to be a shot. I really like him, of course, but we know who he is, and he showed us that he is still that same guy, which is definitely not a bad thing. But Royce Freeman had 12 carries, averaged over 5 yards, and it did feel like he was just the more explosive option, that we were just able to move the ball a little bit better with Freeman, in my opinion. So obviously, the ground game getting rolling in general is a good thing, and I don't care who it is. It's just somebody needs to do it, right? We need to first give the attempts, but whoever's getting those carries needs to be able to pull it off. But this should be a game that the Rams are able to get the ground game rolling because, like I said, the Cowboys sitting with that in the bottom half as far as defending the pass go or the run goes. Excuse me. And my third on the 3 to see here is going to be quarterback Matthew Stafford. We've seen Stafford playing well, but he's had some panic throw moments, and when the pass rush is getting to him, it seems like he's making some pretty big mistakes in certain times. And I will say that TJ Watt interception doesn't feel like a forced pass to me. It just felt like a great defensive play by TJ Watt. He makes those sometimes. You're not going to win them all. That's kind of the case there. But we've seen Stafford be not on the same page as some of his receivers sometimes, and it's resulting in penalties when that happens because now they're calling those for intentional grounding, which is unfortunate. But I mean, it's rules are rules, whatever. But it's about the time in the season where teams really start playing to their true abilities. And so Matthew Stafford in this offense with an emerging Tutu Atwell, with Puka Nacua, who's a rookie, and Cooper Kupp, who's finally now back into the offense after being on IR to start the season. This is about where we should see Matthew Stafford kind of relax a little bit, especially we got that continuity up front and him just kind of be able to pick apart the opponent a little bit. So that's kind of what we're hoping for right now. But either way, I think that Matthew Stafford is doing a fine job. The offensive line has had some protection issues, but I think also what we're seeing is defenses do a really good job of mixing stuff up. I was watching the All-22 of the Steelers game, and the way that they were mixing up their fronts, it just seemed like it was kind of a difficult task for an offensive line that is dealing with a new left tackle as far as the starter goes, a rookie left guard, a center that started, but he was a backup last year, a right guard who wasn't here all training camp and preseason, and of course our big Rob Havenstein on the right side, who's been holding down the right tackle spot since St. Louis. But either way, that offensive line is definitely. I mean, they've been together now for a little bit, but this is season 1, so them getting kind of accustomed or acclimated with each other is something that obviously we're going to continue to kind of see unfold. Let's flip over to the other side of the ball here, the Cowboys offense versus the Rams defense. So the Cowboys are about middle of the road as far as offense goes, ranking 17th, going against the Rams defense, which is 12th right now. Against the pass, the Rams are 11th in the NFL, going against that 20th ranked pass offense for the Dallas Cowboys and Dak. We also, on the ground, the Cowboys have a top 10 unit there with a little under 120 a game. And the Rams giving up right in that same pocket with 117, but that ranks 20th in the NFL. And the Cowboys putting up almost 26 points a game. That is 5th in the league. And the Rams defense giving up just over 20 a game. That's tied for 14th. I'm kind of banking on the Rams defense being kind of frustrated with how last week ended because, I mean, you see Kenny Pickett lose yards and convert a first down, and then I mean, we can get into the whole. We're not going to get into it, but like the whole thing of like whether we're out of timeouts or not, you got to make the right call, and I think the NFL kind of knows that. That in that situation, you look like a poorly run it looks like a poorly run situation when everybody can tell that the wrong call was made, and they're just like, well, that's what we're sticking with it, though. So either way, I would hope that the defense is kind of frustrated based on that. And refuses to kind of put themselves in that situation again to leave it up to that chance, to leave it up to the ref to potentially make a bad call in that situation. That's just, you got to just try to avoid that the best you can. And we've also Speaking of the Cowboys offense, we've seen Brandon Cooks have some higher intensity games when he's playing against his former teams. So Durant versus him could be a fun matchup. And I say Durant specifically because I think that will be a matchup that we see pretty regularly based on everything, all the moving pieces of different positions and such. And Brandon Cooks does move around a lot, so we will see him against Akello. We will see him against DK. But him against Durant, I think, is a really good matchup. Fun to watch, at least. And the Cowboys do have 3 wide receivers that kind of could be the guy on any given week. So how this Rams secondary adjusts to that and attacks those guys, I think will be pretty critical as far as how this game unfolds. And how the Rams can fill the run lanes and get off the field on third down could really be what we look at as far as why the Rams either won or lost. It really could be, well, we kept getting to 3rd and short and they converted. Or it could be, well, they were at 3rd and 13 a lot of the times, and they just weren't able to get a lot of those, and the Rams were getting off the field. So I think that is going to be a massive part of this matchup specifically. And our 3 to see on the defensive side, we're going to start with Akello Witherspoon. I know I just talked about Durant, but Akello Witherspoon, man, this guy's he's having a great season, although last week was the first time that we saw Witherspoon kind of seem like he was having a little bit of a harder time. But still didn't play poorly. I mean, he still had a good day, but against CD Lamb, this could be a really fun matchup to watch. And I don't expect a 100% win rate. But I like Witherspoon in this matchup. I think that's like, we talked about that last week with Rob Havenstein against TJ Watt. Like we can't expect a 100% win. Those guys get paid too, so, but I think that, Witherspoon against CD Lamb, I like that matchup. And he's shown the ability that if he does get burned, like he had, oh man, I don't even remember who the opponent was, but he had one where he kind of got burnt and caught up in the way that he was able to tip that ball away was absolutely phenomenal. So stuff like that is something we obviously hope to continue to see. Byron Young is coming up next year, and the Rams really need a pass rusher from the edge who can just take over games. Is that BY? Is that BY? It was awesome to see Hoyt get in there a few times last week, but one game isn't going to make me just go absolutely bankrupt on buying Hoyt stock because, well, it was one game, and we also saw that he still, as much as he was able to get those 2 sacks, and that was obviously awesome, and we celebrate that, he still had a hard time in coverage. So we're hoping that we can fill that void. I'm calling it a void. I'm okay with it. I'm comfortable with that wording. Well, hopefully we can fill that with somebody who can do both, who can get after the passer and also cover. But right now, we just need a guy like Byron Young to be able to just shut down those plays so that the bad coverage deep doesn't get burned because the quarterback's, getting tossed to the ground out there. So BY, he's shown the ability to get after the quarterback, but he's still getting used to the NFL level, which is totally reasonable. He's only played in 7 NFL games, so you got to give him a chance to get his feet under him and get it rolling. But he's got a good matchup this week against Terrence Steele and should be able to move Dak off of his spot a little bit this week. I like that matchup. And next up in our 3 to see, we're going to go with the inside linebackers. We're going to go with Ernest Jones and Christian Roseboom. So I'm going with both these guys this week because A, Jones is obviously incredible. He's having quite the season. And B, Roseboom seems to be a better football player every single time he touches a football field. So that's really cool to watch. It's fun to watch his progression every single week. He just seems a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more confident. He's flying around just a little bit more every single week. And it's really cool to see. So I'm pulling for Rose. I almost want to get myself a Roseboom jersey, man. I'm digging this dude right now. It's been really fun to watch his progression so far this season. And we've only had 7 games. So to see what Roseboom looks like week 18, I'm pretty pumped about that. But a big game from these two could be a big game for the defense, which should translate into a big fat dub for the LA Rams. The history of this matchup, well, this is the 38th all-time meeting. The Cowboys lead the all-time series 19-18, so a Rams win would tie it up all-time. The most recent game between these two came last year, October 9th. So a little over a year ago, the Cowboys won that one 22-10. First ever meeting between these two teams came on November 6th of 1960. That was a Rams win, 38-13. And since returning to Los Angeles, the Rams are 3-2 against the Dallas Cowboys, including that postseason win on the road to Super Bowl 53, which gave us that incredible moment where C.J. Anderson got pushed out of bounds on the Cowboys sideline and he sat on the bench. And that led to like the incredible meme. I think it was like the next year, maybe it was the year after that, where the Cowboys were playing, I think, the Niners or something like that. And it was like me at the party and it's C.J. Anderson on the sideline. That's super funny. All right. Yeah, and connections in this one. So there are no former Cowboys players or coaches on the Rams because we don't sign those dweebs. I'm just kidding. But that was the fact that there is none gave me that potential for a joke, and it's probably not going to happen again. So just let me have that one, all right? Even though I ruined it by explaining that part. But either way, so former Rams who are on the Cowboys. We have Dante Fowler. He was on the Rams from 18 and 19. He's actually a backup for the Dallas Cowboys. Brian Schottenheimer. He was an assistant for the Rams in 97, and he was offensive coordinator in 2012 through 2014. Defensive backs coach for the Dallas Cowboys is Al Harris, who played for the Rams in 2011. I remember the Rams signing Al Harris and being probably too pumped about it, especially looking back on it and seeing it like that time of his career and all that. I was probably too excited, but hey, I liked Al Harris. He was awesome in Green Bay. He was fun to watch. And John Fossil, Coach Bones. He was the Rams special teams coordinator from 2012 to 2019. And he also had, in 2016, he also had those 4 games where he was, or was it, 3 games where he was the interim head coach after the Rams did fire Jeff Fisher. And oddly enough, I don't know why this is the stat that sticks into my brain, but John Fossil, as a coach of the Rams, he saw, it was 3 games, 3 different horn colors. I don't know why that's important, but we saw the white horn. That was the color rush game at the Seahawks. That one play, that one where Jared Goff got like totally lit up by Richard Sherman. He was fine, but it was one of those. And then we did the throwback jerseys. Or wait, I'm trying to remember. It was white, yellow, and gold though. He saw all 3 horn colors. All right, and I don't know why that sticks out in my head, but I thought that was really cool. And then some NFL connections here. So Matthew Stafford was in Detroit with Robert Prince, who was the acting head coach in 2020. Stephon Gilmore played all over the place with a bunch of guys. So Stephon Gilmore played in Carolina with Royce Freeman and Chase Blackburn, who was a coach at the time. He played in Indianapolis with Rams tight end Nikola Kalinic that was just last year. And he played in New England with tight end coach Nick Caley, 2017 to 2022. So a good chunk of time there. Some college connections here. Rams wide receiver Demarcus Robinson played at Florida with Dante Fowler. Rams offensive lineman A.J. Jackson played at Iowa with Cowboys defensive end Chauncey Goldston. And Rams safety Jordan Fuller played at Ohio State with safety Malik Hooker, as well as center Billy Price. That was in 2016. Rams defensive tackle Bobby Brown played at Texas A&M with Cowboys safety Donovan Wilson. I remember Donovan Wilson on that A&M team was really incredible that year. And the Rams quarterback Brett Rippon, he played at Boise State with then tight end Leighton Vander Esch, who is now a linebacker, of course, for the Dallas Cowboys. So that is your game preview. We have the Los Angeles Rams on the road at the Dallas Cowboys for Week 8 matchup. I like to think that this season is far from over right now, and I've definitely not thrown in the towel. I know that as far as like the social media world goes, there's a lot of up and down emotions right now, but I like to kind of take a step back here, take a peek back, and also remember what we talked about at the beginning of the season, which was we knew that going into this season, it was a development year and a year where we were going to eat a lot of cap space, and I think that that's what we're doing right now. We're getting some incredible experience for a lot of our young guys, especially this rookie class, which seems to be shaking out really, really well. And so to get this experience right now, even though we're losing close games, it's still valuable experience. You can get a lot of value from those losses as well, especially the way that the Rams have been losing, which is like very snug games, very close games that do feel like if 1 or 2 things go a different way, that maybe we're winning those games. And sometimes it's a ref thing, sometimes it's a penalty thing, sometimes it's just a turnover at a bad time, something like that. But either way, we're seeing a lot of guys get their young career mistakes out of the way right now, and we just have another opportunity to kind of put it all together and to kind of showcase this. And again, we're going into week 8 of the NFL season, which is a good spot right now to be in. To like this is about where you start to really kind of gel as a football team. This is about it right now, and we are a young team, so it could be a little bit later for the Rams than we could see for other teams. But is there a team that we feel like has played to their maximum capacity yet? I don't think so. So I think the Rams are still in it. We're sitting right now just outside of the playoffs. And if this team can make it to the postseason, I think that is a massive win and a huge confidence boost for this young roster going into 2023. If you are watching on the YouTube channel or on Facebook on the video version, hey, check out the full podcast, because right now we're going to go ahead and get into fan quesos, and there was a whole section before this happened. So check out the full podcast everywhere you already find your favorite podcast. It's on Apple, it's on Spotify, it's on other places. Those are the only ones that I can ever remember, but it is everywhere, I promise. Just search it up and check it out there. ramshowcase.com. That is also, it's embedded on the front page as well as this video, so it's a good one-stop shop to get all your action there. And then if you click that merch tab at the top, you can snag yourself a Ram Showcase t-shirt, and they are so sick. This one, based off of the Rams Super Bowl ring, so you definitely want to put this on your torso. You look super cool. So, yeah, we'll take another quick break here on the podcast version, and on the other side, we'll get into our fan quesos. Got some really good ones. I'm excited about this. Hang tight. All right.